Today's episode is sponsored in part by Revolve and Spectrum. Revolve is my all-time favorite place to shop for my dream wardrobe. Head to revolve.com/goaldigger to shop my favorites and get 15% off your first order with the code GOALDIGGER. Spectrum Business keeps your business connected with reliable service you can count on. Visit spectrum.com/free for life to learn how you can get business internet free forever. As always, you can find all of our amazing deals in the show notes. Now, let's get into it.
And I feel like, too, even though I said I'm so proud you're independent and that was my goal as a mom, like when I knew you were going through some of those roller coasters or some of those tough times with criticism or pushback, like my mom, my other's heart realized like hurting.
I'm Jenna Kutcher, and I help you trade hustle for purpose and build a business that gives you the life you actually want to live. From a $300 Craigslist camera to a 7-figure business I run from home, I've learned that success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you live. Here, you'll get strategies that work, systems that give you your time back, and steps that turn your effort into results and impact. If you're ready for clarity, confidence, and a business that feels as good as it looks, you're in the right place. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who is incredibly dear to me. It's my mom. She has been on the show before, but it has been years. And honestly, every time that she's here, you ask me to bring her back. You want her wisdom and her perspective, the way she sees straight through to what actually matters. My mom was a nursing instructor for 30 years. We literally can't leave the house without running into one of her students. And the love that they have for her, it's immediate. You can see it in their faces, the kind of teacher that she was and the impact she had on their lives and in their careers. She was also the kind of mom who would ask 21 questions, the one who my friends would actually open up to, the one who made everyone feel safe enough to tell the truth even when I was rolling my eyes in the back seat. My mom is fierce. She is crazy persuasive. And her well of empathy runs so deep that people just trust her. And she's really deeply, deeply respected because of it. She built her impact face to face in classrooms and living rooms and hospital hallways. She shaped people and held space and asked the hard questions that made them think differently. And I realized that as I've gotten older, we need collectively to learn from women like her, the ones who led in different ways than we do. The ones whose platform looked different, but whose influence was undeniable. The ones who remind us that impact isn't about how loud you are, it's about how deeply you show up. So today we're talking about motherhood and identity, about the differences between her generation and mine, about what it means to be a safe space for people, about what gets passed down when you lead with presence and not performance. This conversation is for me, it's for my daughters. It's for anyone trying to learn from the women who came before us, the ones who did things differently, and the ones whose power showed up in ways we're only now learning to name. So, Mom, I know you were reluctant, but thank you for being here. Today, you get to be everyone's mama. Let's talk.
Well, hi there, Mom. Hi there, Jen. Welcome back. Okay. I'm so excited about today. Thank you for saying yes. It has been 3 years since you came on the show. That's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah, time goes by so fast.
It does.
Okay, so I wanted to break this up into 3 different parts. So the first part is just kind of like legacy and mothering as a whole. And then part 2, I want to talk about what's different, because I think from like a generational perspective, there's so many things that we're dealing with that you didn't, and things that you had to deal with that we don't even understand. And then lastly, just talking about like identity and seasons, because as women, I think we go through a lot of different evolutions and aging and all these different things. And so let's start at the top, which is kind of the legacy piece. So when you think about how you mothered us and looking back, like what surprises you the most about that journey?
Yeah. I think how fast it goes was what came to mind right away. And again, that's a cliche everyone says. But again, already seeing the grandkids, or like seeing, for example, the oldest grandson is almost as tall as me now. And, our oldest Joe's going to be 40 this year. Like Dad and I just felt like we were 40 just a blink of an eye ago. So I know people always say, like, don't blink, they grow up. But I do think it goes fast. And I remember, my dad who passed away recently always said, even the older you get, the quicker it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost think too, because if you look at your life like a pie and like how much is left. So if I live a good long life, I have maybe a third left if I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you look at perspective, or like as a child for Christmas to come, your perspective is so different.
Right.
So yeah, I think just how fast it goes is probably the biggest thing for me.
I even feel that now today, like my oldest is sitting at the table and I'm like, your legs are so long. And oh my, like, it's just like all these things. And it's crazy because everything is so temporary, even though it feels like so permanent when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like you look back and it is such a blur, which is good in some parts and bad in some parts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I get it. Like I was just holding a newborn baby the other day. And it was just like, whoa, like this feels both like yesterday and a lifetime ago, right? And I'm like, is that the rest of our lives? Like, that's kind of what it seems.
Yes and no. We'll talk probably more later. I feel like the stage of life, it has slowed down in some ways, but it still goes super fast. So time is kind of abstract to me to describe.
Yeah.
I do think how fast it's grown. And then I think I even see it more now with all the grandkids because, on the various stages and how quick they're all spurting up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think when I think of this question too, what surprises me the most now as a mom, looking back at how you mothered, is I feel, maybe this is like the superhero mom status, is that you had an endless capacity to mother each of us individually. And now I'm like, holy crap, that takes a lot of work. Do you think that?
I feel complimented that you say that because at the time I don't know if I was mindfully thinking about that, but I do feel like when you have interests, I tap into them. So I don't feel like it took a lot of energy because I truly enjoyed it. Like I can tell motherhood, like I'm looking at you, motherhood gives you joy and it truly gave me joy. Like I've done a lot of things in my life I'm proud of, but being a mom is probably my most proud because I truly loved it. I did. It's just like even growing up, I shared this on a podcast years ago, but that was like what I always wanted to do is be a mom, where that isn't what everybody wants to do. And not that it's always easy, but I truly felt that was destiny for me or what I wanted. And it came true. And I'm thankful,
I was just telling someone the other day. So like when she says she tapped into like our interests, I feel like I was the multi passionate child. Like you did not know what was going to come out of my mouth. And I mean, we laugh now because we have so many funny memories, but like the year I wanted to do 4-H and like showed my bunny in this fair and like people had purebred bunnies. Like this bunny was a mutt like that we got from some random house. And like my parents were just like, sure, you can do 4-H. Or I was telling someone this story the other day about how when I would say like, I want to be a vet, my mom would reach out to the local vet and I'll never forget. She set up, I was probably 9 maybe. I got to job shadow the vet. And I remember getting to watch like cats get fixed and a turtle get dissected. I was like, never mind, I want to rescue animals. I don't want to cut them open. But like you also created opportunities where it was always like, if you want to do something, like let's explore that. And I feel like that probably ignited the fuel of like, it's okay to have a lot of ideas and passions. And I think that has helped me a lot moving forward of like, well, nothing seems that crazy. Like try it on, see if it works.
Yeah, and I totally believe that too. I don't think we're meant to be in a box. And I think we are meant to be creative. And I think kids are intrinsically creative and life and society stifles that. So I think as a parent, if you can do anything to encourage and not stifle that, or like one I'm proud of, like when you wanted to be a surgeon and I arranged a day for you to be in surgery, like, I'm the kind of, I always told you too, like just ask. If they say no, you're no worse off. But, I'd ask people with confidence and they'd be like, yes, I'll take your daughter.
Yeah. I know I was telling someone that the other day too. I was like, I watched colonoscopies, a gallbladder removal, hernia repair. Like, I just was in it. And a lot of people don't realize, like I went to school. When I went to college, I was signed up for pre-med. Like that was the path I wanted to go down. Totally different than what I'm doing today. But yeah, I just think when I look back, what surprises me now as a mom is just
your ability to like foster like, well, let's be curious about it and not shut it down. And I think that gave me a lot of permission as an adult to carry that forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So what's something you were afraid you were getting wrong as a mom that you've now either like made peace with or you see the hidden benefits in it?
Okay. I feel like when I was in the thick of it, maybe because, again, life was busy and I didn't have all the external pressures, I honestly am not a worrying type as a rule. And I don't feel like I worried a lot about getting wrong because I feel like we're going to get things wrong. We're not perfect. And I did my best. And I knew I went to sleep at night that I did my best, even if I messed up. So I don't think I worried a lot about things. Looking back, one thing I wish we could have done different is, I feel like we were a middle-class family. I felt like we always provided things and opportunities, but I wish we would have more mindfully potentially saved for college. But I also feel like we did the best we could, and you also learned things because of it. But I felt in hindsight that you probably had stressors that at that age of life you shouldn't have maybe, but I don't lay at night worrying about it. But that's one thing I would have maybe been wiser about that somehow. But we truly didn't have a lot of extra money either. And, Dad had that year of strike and all those, life happened. But still, that's one thing I wish would have been a little different, but I don't kick myself about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so interesting because I'm raising kids in a very different state. I think you and I talk about that a lot because looking back, growing up, like there were seasons that were challenging financially. And then there were seasons where we got by and it was fine and we were great. And I think that I learned a lot through every different season. I think I was very aware, like just hyper aware. Mm-hmm. And I think that has made me who I am today. And so like you would now have 3 financially independent children who have gone on to be incredibly successful, frugal, wise with their money. So like, can you really look back? But I also do see your point in like, I remember a summer working 3 jobs or things like that, where it was like, well, we're going to do it. And so I mean, who knows? It could have been the thing that was the benefit to all of us. And I think that a lot of money mindset things are things that you just have to work through. Like no matter if you're a child or an adult, like you have to learn those lessons at some point. And so some people just learn them earlier. I think I have been thinking a lot, even just with like the economic situation and like with benefits changing and people worried about putting food on their table. It does send me back to like the year when Dad was on strike. And I remember like a turkey showing up at our door. It's like, wow, like how quickly the rug can come out from under people that are hardworking. And also just the reality of like, all of a sudden it's a 1-income family.
Right.
For 3 kids.
And I was part-time.
Yes. Yeah. And so like, I just see too, I think I see the humanness in how situations can quickly change and how people are literally doing the best they can.
Exactly.
It's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah. I've been reflecting on how old was I? I was trying to find Gladiator's article.
I know. Yeah. Jenna wrote a letter to the editor when my husband was on strike. I think you were roughly 7th grade, maybe.
Yeah.
And in some ways too, when you said I was very aware, again, in some ways too, I don't know if I added to your stress or I was trying to be honest with you, but when we were like, well, how are things? I'd be like, well, we got to buckle up a little bit because this is a situation. And then I think because you were so wise, you maybe took, maybe I shared more than I should have. Again, I don't kick myself because I felt like I was being honest with you. But as I think I asked a million questions, and I tried to, foster that curiosity, but also you don't want it to be a worry thing either. But you wrote a beautiful letter to the editor. And so I felt like I wanted to tell you enough to be aware, but not to add stress to your life. Like we're fine, but we got to buckle up, kind of thing.
No, I think it's good.
Look, I've become kind of a systems nerd, and anything that gives me more space in my day, I'm all in. And a reliable connection is a huge part of that because when the internet lags or cuts out, everything pauses and suddenly the simplest tasks take forever. I learned really early on that dependable internet, it's not a luxury, it is a must. Whether you're a content creator like me, a restaurant owner, or running a busy dry cleaning business, you need that steady connection to support your team and your clients. That's why I'm excited to share a solution for my fellow business owners. Spectrum Business keeps businesses of all types connected with internet, advanced Wi-Fi, phone, TV, and mobile services, all with connectivity solutions built for your budget. And they have a truly incredible offer. Business owners can get free business internet advantage forever when you add 4 or more mobile lines. It's simple with no contracts and no added fees. Visit spectrum.com/free for life to learn how you can get business internet free forever. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas. When I think back to when I bought my first little Craigslist camera, I had no clue that it would change my entire life. Like, I didn't have this big plan. I just took the first tiny step. And that's what the new year is for. A clean slate, a chance to finally start that business idea that won't leave you alone. If 2026 is your year to launch, Shopify makes it feel doable. You can sell online or in person, and they give you everything you need to get moving. Millions of people have taken this leap, from total beginners to well-known brands. You can pick from beautiful templates, customize them to fit your style, and use Shopify's built-in AI tools to write product descriptions, headlines, and even clean up product photos. When you're ready to grow, Shopify grows with you, all from one simple dashboard. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/goaldigger. Go to shopify.com/goaldigger. That's shopify.com/goaldigger. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side.
How do you know when to hold on and when to let go as a mom? I think that's something that even now I'm like noticing with my oldest, of like testing and boundaries. And, I basically feel like I'm mothering myself in a lot of ways because she is so much like me. I see that creative spirit and that drive and that stubbornness. And I am reparenting myself through parenting this child. And so any advice on that?
Well, some letting go comes through rites of passage, like going to kindergarten or going to college. I mean, some of those just are natural letting go, even though they kind of hit your heart. Other times, I think it's individualized based on the child. Like, when we started leaving you home alone, for example, is like, when do we feel you're responsible enough? And each child might have been a little different age. So you individualize it to the person, but still try to be fair overall throughout the 3, but still you're individuals too, and you use your common sense and your gut instinct. And I always felt like my job as a mom was to raise you to be an independent person.
Yeah.
And I am an independent person, and I value who I am as an individual, and I love you all to pieces, but I wanted you to love yourself and be good individually. So, yeah, I felt like my job was to launch you and be there for you, but let you be and grow independently.
Yeah, you did a good job on that one. I feel like you see all types of mothers, and I think no mother is better than the other. But there are the moms who are like, they want to just be deeply, intrinsically involved. And I feel like you were as available as you were in the capacities that we needed, and without like meddling or overstepping, which I think is a delicate dance. Man, sick. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. So I want to scoot to like generational, because I genuinely have been thinking, even with grandma, we've been doing visits with her, and just like thinking of the beautiful things that can be passed down and the lessons we learned. I actually feel like I've been channeling grandma a lot with gardening and just like different things that like really brought her joy, and connecting with that. And so my first question is, what do you see in my generation of women that worries you, and what gives you hope? Because I think there's a lot happening right now.
I think all the technology and social media and pressures and immediacy of everything, and even AI. I mean, that's all stuff that was not even a thing in our generation. But with that also can come, reliable evidence-based information, support groups you can follow that go around your belief system. I mean, there's a lot of beauty too, but I almost like when I walk around or go out to eat, I see so many people glued to their phones, and young kids too. And that just makes my heart sad. Like, I feel like we're missing human connection, and technology has gotten to be too big. And again, there were,
Yes. So dial-up internet that we barely got on our dirt road.
Hey, exactly. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that comes to mind for parents and children, honestly. And I think even as a parent, I think it can be a fine line, like, when does your child get a phone and what parameters do you have on it? And how do you keep them safe? And all their peers are and you're not ready. And I mean, all those things can, I think, sound super challenging, and I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I think we dealt with, when you got a phone when you were 16.
That's what I told Coco the other day. She goes, when can I get a phone? I said, when you're 16 and driving a vehicle. So, yeah. I mean, it's a whole new ballgame. And I think we've had to navigate and figure out, like, what does this even look like? Because, right, like, we're the first generation raising kids with access to all of this, both in how we're showing our own journeys, but also then how are kids being influenced by them. And it's a lot of trial and error. And I feel like we're finally hitting a point where a lot of those kids that grew up on social media are now adults.
Right.
And like, what is that impact and what does that look like? And obviously, I've changed my mind and perspective on what that looks like. And I feel, my deep desire is to not be glued to my phone, and I model that. And so if that's my desire for my kids, like, it's also my desire for me. And that is such a tricky thing, right? Especially because the internet has afforded us so many incredible things and connections and impact. And so it's a big untangling of like the role it plays, what you give it merit in your life, what you allow to come in and what you allow to go out. Like, it's interesting. And I feel like I've made a huge shift in recent years of just like privacy and like how I want to be on the internet. But I mean, honestly, most days I don't even want to be on the internet.
So, yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing I see.
Yeah.
But then I even see a lot of my generation scrolling all the time and being on phones excessively.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's not just your generation, too. It is
universal.
It is. And yeah.
Sad. What gives you hope about our generation?
I think I see like how I've seen you kind of go back to roots, in regard to chickens and gardening and sourdough and honeybees and all the things. Like, I do think a lot of your generation is coming back to the basics and realizing the beauty in that and, simplifying, slowing down, hands in the dirt,
Yeah.
And I feel like that is, again, not with everyone, but it feels like a trend where that's kind of coming back for a lot of people, or just wanting to slow down and be more present. Another thing that I see in your generation, more positive, I just see the fathers much more involved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for example, when I see what Drew does, and so I just see differences generationally that are really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we laugh because we had a garden. And I told my mom the other day, I mean, we did our best and we would set up a baby monitor and then we'd hook it up to the radio under the kitchen sink and like listen to music out in the garden. And I remember singing Calendar Girl and all these different songs together while we would weed the garden. And I think about your generation, which was really the one coming out of where the woman stays home and is the homemaker. And for your generation, when you look at just what was trending and what was happening, it was a huge surgence of processed foods. It was, the Weight Watchers generation. It was women trying to do it all and juggle it all like they have never had to in the past. So now you have a career, you're also raising kids, you're also putting food on the table. And so it became this generation of convenience out of necessity, right? Like there weren't options.
Right.
And so it is interesting, this cycle we're on, just like all fashion trends come back around. I do feel like I feel connected to grandma. Not that you didn't have a garden, but like it was so natural to her. It was like composting was as like breathing to her, And so I feel like it is interesting to think of just the pressures and the things that you dealt with. And then now that we're kind of coming back around, I do think it gives me hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With food too.
Yes.
Again, our generation was kind of like a first generation where all my peers, all my female friends were out working.
Yeah.
But doing, there was still the stereotypes of female roles and male roles.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that just keeps evolving. But again, processed foods, that was like promoted like hamburger helper. This was your seafood mom. Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you thought you were doing healthy things.
Yes, and I mean 100%. Like that's where, I mean, it's interesting because it's like I remember you would make us eat Brussels sprouts, and my friend Molly hated Brussels sprouts, and she ate at our house all the time. And like you had the balance of a meal, but it was all coming out of a box. And that was just literally the reality. And so it's interesting too to think through like just beliefs and patterns and things like that that come given the context of the culture, right? So yeah, it's been interesting. If you were navigating my life right now, what is the first thing you think you would release or do differently? Like if you were in my shoes.
Like if I were in your shoes, I don't think I ever would have been like on social media. I mean, to the point you are. Yes. I am with my friends. Yeah, no, at a low level. But I think I'm too sensitive. And I don't, when I've seen, I just feel like there's so many opinions and pushback and criticisms that I think I have too tender a heart that I couldn't be in your shoes and be strong enough.
So would you give up social media for me?
I would. That's the one thing I think you've changed lives. I'm very proud of you. You've been influential in my life in a beautiful way. But I know I would have never, even if people said, here, you can be a social media star, I would say I do not want them because I don't think I could stand all the negative stuff that goes with it.
I mean, I don't think I can either. I mean, it's like, I think we all have like really tender hearts.
Yeah.
And I think I've had to learn how to use that muscle. And I mean, thank God for therapy and all the things that have helped me just separate like my life from the internet to like my actual life. But I think for many years they were very murky and it was like, where does one start and the other one end? Like what is that intersection of both of those things? And now I feel pretty unrattled. I feel like very firm and clear. I don't lose sleep over it, especially if I'm standing in my truth and like, I feel good about it. But yeah, we've kind of seen the whole roller coaster of it and just, I think like that's why I can't imagine having kids on it because it's like as a grown adult who has done a lot of healing work and is very confident, it can shake you to your core, right? It can make you question everything about yourself, the way you look. I mean, everything, right? And so it's fascinating to me that, they have all these projections of like kids, that's what they want to do now because they see this and it's like, there's a dark side to all of it, right? And it's like very few people can actually manage it and manage it well.
Yeah. And I feel like too, even though I said I'm so proud you're independent and that was my goal as a mom, like when I knew you were going through some of those roller coasters or some of those tough times with criticism or pushback, like my mom, my other's heart realized like hurting. Yes, this is not good. Yeah, so I just feel it. Yeah.
I freaking fight like a little mama wolf if someone is pointing out for my babies.
That's how I feel.
Also, okay, what did you have to fight for at my age that I might take for granted?
I felt like when, again, I worked part-time, I worked the school year, I took a big pay cut, so, financially. And then I think, again, the gender roles, I think I grew up in a traditional household back in the day where, my mom did what you would call domestic work. And my father did the outside. We were on a farm and my husband's family the same.
Yeah.
So when I worked part-time, I was fine with that. But then I felt like when I started picking up more shifts, I felt like there was conflict in our marriage because we were trying to change that dynamic. I feel like, in retirement now, we've come to a real good place where we found our places and, he's stepped over and it's just come to a nice place. But I think that was kind of a big struggle where I just see where like how you and you work it out is beautiful and it works great for you, but very different than what my reality was.
I think like my feminist heart comes from like, I think I had a deep attachment to you of like what is fair and what is just and like the equal partnership. And I think I would like be the one that would be like ferocious, like, why are you in the laundry room at 9 p.m. at night? And I totally can see after so much work, like every generation is doing better, right? Like I think we can be quick to discount the ways that maybe our parents did the best they could, right? Like we can be quick to forget like, wait, everyone is a product of their environment and everyone is trying to do better. And it's just interesting how much things have shifted because even Drew comes from a very traditional family as well. And we've all kind of been cooked in the same broth, right? And so it's really interesting. And I think watching you navigate that has made me want to have like equal play and like step up, like everyone can do every job. And so I think I think again, to that benefit of like, yeah, but I think I'm like a deep down feminist of like women can do it all, but we need support. And like whatever that support looks like, whether it's your partner, your spouse, whether it's a parent or a nanny or a house manager or whatever that is, I think women just need more support. And that was something that you really didn't have a lot of access to either. Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think that our generation is fighting that you never had to? I can name one.
Okay.
Gun control.
Oh,
I mean, just like the reality of that worry. I was just at Target and we had picked the kids up from school and I was going to a Moms Demand Action meeting and I was telling Coco that I wasn't going to be there to put her to bed. And she was like, why? And I was trying to figure out how to phrase it, like just I'm going to a meeting to figure out, how we can create a safer world. And this older lady who was probably in her 80s was sitting next to us. And she was like, when I was a mom, I didn't even have to think about that, And so I feel like that's one thing where like the hyper awareness around everything from predators to and I think too, sometimes it's the fact that information is so available that we are literally witnessing every possible threat. And so it's like our nervous system is always activated in that fight or flight. Yes. I do think that's one thing that's different in, our mothering journey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree too. And again, kind of technology influences, again, access, all of those things. But
I mean, it's interesting. And I think every mother now is fighting something different, right? Like whatever that is, whatever the different thing that looks for them. I think that women are feeling more empowered in making new decisions and in like figuring out what is their path. Like I think women are choosing alternate routes more commonly now than they maybe did in the past, whether it's homeschooling or things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that we as moms now are like having to stand up for like social causes more because we're seeing like, whoa, things are moving fast. And like, what type of world do we want to raise our kids in? And I think every woman and mother is just having to choose what they believe in the most.
One thing I think of is, again, how diverse occupations are now. Where, again, when I grew up, it was, the three routes, I think, were secretary, nurse, or teacher, or homemaker.
Yeah.
And, I mean, out of my high school class, a couple went to college, maybe, but most, a lot of people worked in the factory and most were homemakers. So, yeah. So I think just seeing all the diverse occupational opportunities and entrepreneurship too. That was not a thing, so.
Well, that leads me to my next question because you never would have, you didn't call yourself an entrepreneur. You didn't think of yourself as entrepreneurial. I was first generation entrepreneur out of our family, but you had a really entrepreneurial spirit. And I feel like I tell stories all the time of the things that you did. And so like where did that come from? Or do you start to recognize that now as an adult?
I think as an adult, no, I see it at the time. I didn't think of it as entrepreneurial. I just said it was resourceful.
Yeah.
And I think it's from my mom. I think my mom figured out how to make things happen for us.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of it entrepreneurial. It's just like kind of like the barter system or how can I make this happen? So yeah.
We should give examples. So 2 stories that come to mind. One was we wanted to get new bikes and my mom was like, well, how are you going to get them? You got to pay for them, right? And so she called the city of Duluth and there was a race happening down
Toronto's Marathon. It was for Snapper.
Yep, down in Park Point. And she asked if we could set up a little face painting booth. And me and my brother, who were very young and not skilled painters, painted faces and earned money to buy our bikes. So like that's one example. Another example is when I got very into gymnastics. Tuition was expensive. We had to travel for meets. We had to buy leotards. We had to pay coaches' fees. And it was so out of our budget. And you never, ever said like, no, you can't do this. You were like, we'll figure it out. And my mom would write contracts in Microsoft Word for our head coach, who was this saint. I mean, he was a funny, amazing man, but like he never said no. He had such a heart. And she would barter. So we renovated the locker room. We renovated the kitchen. We redid the bathroom. And every year my mom would think of new things that we could do to add value at the gym that would allow me to do gymnastics for free. And like, what a blessing for you and for your partnership with Mark.
Right.
And like, it helped him out.
It was a win-win.
Yes, it was a win-win. And I just think like, yeah, when you're lacking resources, resourcefulness, is beautiful. And so now I like look back and I'm like, no, you were a hella entrepreneur. Like, you had that spirit. And I mean, all of us kids kind of went down non-traditional paths. And so I think we harnessed that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I love that.
My cousin's getting married soon, and I haven't been to a wedding since I stopped photographing them 7 years ago. We're so excited because we're getting our entire family together and booking a home on Airbnb for the festivities. Coco even asked if she can be the flower girl, so now I need to teach her how weddings actually work. After sending a few options, we found the perfect spot. There's this pool table for my father-in-law to be a pool shark, enough room so that we can all actually get decent sleep, and plenty of space to make memories together. Where you choose to stay truly has the ability to elevate everything. And it got me thinking about the hosts behind the stay. They make sure the space feels warm and cared for, which makes these special moments even more memorable. And here's something I learned. You don't need to own a vacation property to consider hosting your own home on Airbnb. You can start with the space you already have. And that extra income, it can be put towards future travel or a fun splurge item you've been eyeing. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
Okay, so last part is let's kind of talk about seasons and identities. And so when was the last time you felt yourself changing in a way that surprised you?
So this would be about a year ago. And you made a comment to me like, Mom, don't be offended, but I have a suggestion for you. And I'm like, what's up? What do you think? She goes, I think you could benefit from therapy. And at the time, I was, my parents are elderly and I was doing a lot for them. And maybe that sandwich generation, just trying to be there for a lot of people. And I was just kind of feeling maybe caregiver burnout, or I don't know. And I think, I was always honest with Jen on my feelings, and I wasn't offended at all. Like it was a caring gesture. But at 66, I started therapy for the first time in my life. And I feel like that was probably the most changing. That surprised me because, again, I always felt like, everybody has stuff and I can figure it out and it's not that bad. But yeah, it was kind of getting heavy and hard. And then just to dig into it and do the work, it's like, whoa, it truly is work. You know what I mean? And emotional work. So I think that's probably what surprised me the most this last year, is just digging deeper into myself. Why am I wired like I'm wired? How do I want to grow? How do I want to change? How do I do that? How do I work on it? How do I... Yeah, kind of looking at everybody's inner child. I feel like I've been a compassionate person, but I feel like I have a deeper level of compassion. Yeah, so I think that's been a evolution in progress that's most surprised me.
I love it. I mean, so I didn't start therapy until a couple years ago, and my friend Mel Robbins suggested her therapist, and we had been on a girls trip, and she was like, oh my gosh, Anne is prolific. She's incredible. You would love her. And so I took Mel's suggestion and started working. And then I remember when I started, my mom kept being like, okay, what are you talking about? And what's going on? And like, it was interesting because too, I think we have such pride and love for our families. And I remember on the first call, she was asking a ton of questions about family and origin and all this stuff. And I was like, I feel like I'm betraying my family just by even sharing anything. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like this like protective nature. And I feel like in expanding your consciousness around like, there is no resentment. There is nothing but love there. But you can acknowledge like, oh, these certain things made me into the person I am, good or bad, right? And anyways, it was just beautiful because you were really curious about therapy. And then when I suggested it, now looking back, it was such divine timing with my grandpa and him passing away. And just, I got to be your daughter and knowing you were supported. And like, we were both going through it together. And both of us have that daughter syndrome of like, step up, figure it out. We'll handle it all.
Right.
And it was beautiful to just be like, wow, my mom is supported right now, also by Anne. I bet it's so fun for Anne because she gets to hear from both of us.
Right.
But I think it paints a beautiful picture. And I'm really proud of you because I feel like so many people just are kind of like, I'm done learning. And you are a lifelong learner. You are the most devoted student to life that I've ever met. And so I think it's been beautiful. And it just enriches our conversations because we have a shared language. We can talk about like, what are your resources or what are you talking about with Anne or what are you working through? And I know for other people close to me in my life, it's opened the doors for therapy as well. And I just think, man, everybody could benefit from it. I wish it was more accessible. I wish it was more affordable. I wish it was universal. Like, I feel like that's a cause that everyone could get behind. But I don't know. It's awesome. And it's funny too, because you'll be like, I'm leveraging what I'm learning in therapy to ask for help or, you know, like where I'm like, you're doing it. It's changing you.
It truly is changing me.
Yeah.
Things that you think like, well, this is life. This is how it is.
Yeah.
This is who I am. And it's like, you know, once you start changing patterns, it changes things for other people too in a beautiful way that I hadn't thought about. Yeah, I know there's a ripple.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been really powerful. And yeah, I just feel like I'm evolving and growing, and it's been sometimes really hard. Sometimes, you know, emotional. So I feel like many calls we come on and it seems like there's often something very pivotal to talk about.
Yeah.
But she's great at being intrinsically knowledgeable about what I need and what homework would be good and how to push me, you know, and I sometimes push back. And yeah, it's been a really growth process for me. And I do feel like it's added to conversations, obviously, with you when we have the same language. But even I feel like with friends, with Tom, with my mom, like I just feel like I have a different, I don't know, insight or thought process maybe would be the word. But yeah, it's been great.
Feel like it can be a bridge of like, here's something I'm working through, or here's something that's come into my awareness where it's like before, like, how do you just randomly bring up something like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of gives you an excuse to talk about deeper things and kind of unpack them either with others or just to share. So
yeah, I'm thinking about too, though, for a lot of people, like my whole life, I potentially had, as I was a state employee teaching nursing, and I had a counseling benefit I could have tapped into, but I never did, thinking, well, there's nothing that bad. But for anybody that has that benefit, if it's a free resource and you can use it, like I think I could have benefited way earlier had I thought deeper about it.
yeah,
You know?
I think that's true. And I think too, so much of it is like our Midwest, like chutzpah, like the sisu of just like, pick it up, you got it. People have it worse. And I think it's true, but everyone has trauma, big T trauma, little T trauma, things that they're working on and working through. And I think too, when you're held accountable to the work, you stay in it, right? Like you stay committed. So I'm proud of you. I love it. Okay, what is something that you stopped doing or let go of that ended up being the right call, even if it felt hard at the time?
I think I've been working on in therapy is I've always been, quote unquote, the responsible child. And, you know, I've had that role pretty much my whole life. And I think because I always just step up right away and do things, it's expected, you know, it was by my parents and my siblings. But by doing so, I didn't always give my siblings a chance because I just did things. And some of it maybe is my own, you know, I can do it quicker, or I can do it my way, I can get it done, like I know it'll get done. But to step back and let other people step up and realize they can and will.
Yeah.
I think that's been a huge thing for me. And there's been different examples where that has happened. But had I not gone to therapy, I never would have even attempted those things because it was just a role ingrained in my head and I didn't see another option.
Yeah. I have noticed that in you as well. And I think there's like a beautiful surrender, but then it's also like, wow, there are people that can support, right? Like there are more people that can be involved and it enriches them and it enriches the people that you're helping. And yeah, I mean, I think that's for everybody. I think everybody listening is like responsible for something that you shouldn't be responsible for, or that isn't truly your property to be responsible for. And so, yeah, I think it's been really beautiful to see. And also, too, it can be empowering for other people to like figure it out or step up or own things. So I think that's like a universal thing that people can struggle with. That's amazing.
Right.
What do you wish more women understood about getting older? Like, what's actually true versus what are we afraid of?
Oh, I think getting older is good personally. Like I feel like this stage of life for me, I feel like there's almost like a luxury in not having the time constraints of work, like not to punch and not to worry about an alarm clock or, I had super early days at the hospital. I had to be there with my students and homework at night and student concerns and evals and all the things. So I worked super hard at my job. So I loved it, but to not have all of those pressures and to have a day in front of you and it's like, yes, like there's things I need to do, but it's like a time luxury.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like humbled by it because your whole life with kids and work, you're working around those constraints. So all of a sudden, it's almost like a vacation for yourself that's kind of endless.
Yeah. I love that for you.
Yeah. So I love this stage of life. I feel like it's a gift. I wake up, I'm like, oh my God, look at that. I can have this coffee in bed and start my day slow. And, I feel like the last several years, I think a lot thanks to the influence of you and Kate, I think I've become, this is something I wish I would have done earlier too, has been more health conscious earlier in regarding, and I think the trend right now too is more protein and strength training and all that. And I've been working on that. I think your generation is too, and that's kind of a trending thing right now, but I wish I would have maybe jumped that bandwagon sooner. But again, I don't have regrets in my life. I did the best I could, but I feel like I'm focusing more on fitness, on better eating, on relationships, more time with my friends, the grandkids, my mom. Like, I feel like I have a good life.
I mean, you're busy.
I'm busy, but it's busy with busy.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the fill the cup of busy.
Yeah. It's
not
really
good things.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I mean, I think you're busier than I am, but I like also love like you've been on travels. Like my dad had never been to Europe and loved it. And like, just like, I don't know, there's like this picture you sent us where you guys are just like giggling on a boat in Europe. And it's like, this is it. Like, this is pure, like, this is the goals. This is the vision board. And I feel like whenever I think of you and Dad, I'm like, you're never bored. I mean, you have a million things you want to do, a million things you can do. You want to learn new things. You want to try different things. Like, I don't know. I feel like you guys just have a lot of passion. And I think a lot of people don't have that. And then they go into retirement and it's like, what is there? And it's like, oh man, I think of you guys. And I'm like, you are wildly passionate people.
Right.
A lot going on.
I know. I feel like if anything, there's like so many things I want to do, So again, I'm thinking now I know Coco's taking piano, but I want to start playing piano more. I was doing online courses. Then I'm doing like the nursing honor guard now, and I still do Make-A-Wish, and I'm doing things that are fill my cup. Yeah. I love it, but I always want to be that lifelong learner. I'm keeping my nursing license up because who knows, some cool mercy trip or something. I don't know. Like I just feel the sky's the limit. So,
do you see where I get this from? So yeah. I love the line in my book about just like, I love who you are, but I love who you're becoming. And I think that's such a beautiful invitation for everyone of like, you're never done, right? Yeah. And so like, what are you still becoming? Like when you think of your life, what do you think you're still
becoming? I think I'm still becoming, like I picture, like when I'm getting a massage, I picture my old, like my old self, like my 90-some-year-old self. And I picture like being active and being involved in the grandkids' lives and, working on fitness and still learning and being with my friends and being active and just like enjoying life. Like, I just feel like it's endless. And I feel like there's still a lot of really cool things out there, but I don't feel a big urgency. I just feel if opportunities come up, I'll probably go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You are kind of like a say yes, figure it out later person. I feel like I'm similar to that in that way. I love that. Okay, in closing, what do you think has been like the gift of this stage of life to you? I know we talked about retirement, but like the part nobody warns you about that turns out to be so beautiful. Like,
What do you think you could have never saw coming about where you're at right now?
I think, again, the time luxury. Again, even though it's full, it's more optional how I choose to fill it.
Yeah.
Versus constraints with parenting and working.
Yeah.
It's just,
I feel like our family is like time is our currency.
Yeah.
I do feel like that. Like we live like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we fill our time with the right things and the right people?
Right.
And I feel like you pass that down because I feel like I've always had a sense of like time.
Right.
As you can always go out and earn more, or you can always do more, but like, what is time? I love that. I love time luxury. I think everyone, if you could even adopt 5 minutes a day that feel luxurious, whatever that is, like it might not come in big bits and spurts, but it might just be ways that you invite that feeling in.
Right. I do feel like too, I've always been maybe a goer, a doer, but I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten more inward, I think. And like even when I come to town, I batch things. Like I do a bunch of things when I come in, and then my days home are days home, and I love my home days.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I need the balance between going and just being.
Yeah.
So in some ways, I think I've turned more inward in regarding more pausing, more reflection, more meditation, more just being. And I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It recharges me.
Okay, final one. When you think about our relationship now, mother and daughter, we're both grown up. What feels different than you expected?
I always felt like they always say when you're a parent, you're the parent, not the friend. Like, I remember that from a parenting expert in my era. But I feel like now, truly friends. Yeah, and then I feel like you're like a mentor to me. And I feel like even when my dad was done and stuff too, you were like mothering me in a way. Like I counted on you. So I feel like it's a reciprocal friendship, but I look up to you a lot. I respect your opinions. I feel like you're always sending me cool ideas and thoughts. So yeah, I don't feel like you're being my mother.
No, but it's reciprocal.
It's reciprocal. Yeah. It just feels real reciprocal. And I feel like too, if I see cool things, I'll send them to you. But yeah, I just feel like we're there for each other. It's a friendship. It's rich. It's beautiful. I love watching the joy that you get from parenting. It's cool.
I agree. I think it's like when I see my kids, I'm like, like I hope that like me and Kate and Joe often talk about like how wild it is that like we all are here in town. We all love being with our family. Like there's no drama. We all turn to you and we need things, but you can also turn to us if you need something. Like I feel like it is that family dynamic of like we'll show up, we'll be there for each other, whether it's in the bleachers or at the birthday parties or in the crappy times too. And I feel like it's beautiful. I think it's like it is. It's a deep respect and a deep friendship. And like we want the best for one another. I don't know. It's pretty cool. Wild.
I'm very thankful. I do. Dad and I often are like, how lucky are we? When we truly feel.
Did a lot of work though too.
We did. Yeah, but it didn't seem like it at the time. I mean, just do it. You know what I mean? Like you just do it. You don't think of it as work. You're just in it,
What is your hope for me in this next stage of life?
I think a parent's hope is always that your child will be at peace and be content and be good with who they are, Yeah. I love it. Yeah. And I think you are. I think you're doing an amazing job.
It's fun. Well, thanks for coming back on the show. This is fun.
Yeah, I'll keep talking.
A little time capsule for us to always remember.
Exactly.
Oh, and you are like everybody's mom. I feel like my team, my friends, like everyone is like, your mom is our mom. So until next time, Gold Diggers, do you know the line, Mom?
Keep following your biggest dreams.
Keep on digging your biggest goals.
Oh, keep on. I'm sorry.
She's my number one listener, so don't worry about it. Oh, Mom, thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for being the kind of woman who leads with empathy and shows up with presence. Thank you for being fierce when it matters and safe when people need it the most. I think what strikes me the most is how much of who I am came from watching you care about people, not because it was strategic, not because it would build anything for you, but because that's just who you are. You taught me that the most powerful leadership happens in the in-between moments, that being a safe space is the greatest gift, and that asking the right question can change someone's life. To everyone listening, thank you for being here, for showing up to these conversations and tuning in, for caring about the big questions, the generational shifts, the wisdom that gets passed down when we pause long enough to actually listen. If you have women in your life who've shaped you quietly but powerfully, call them, ask them the questions, learn from them while they're still here to teach you. Goal diggers, until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals. Keep on asking the big questions. Keep on learning from the ones who came before you. And remember, you don't have to do it all to do it well. Thanks for listening to the Goal Digger podcast. I hope today left you inspired and equipped with something you can put into action as you build a business that truly supports your life. If this episode resonated with you, here's how you can help the show reach even more entrepreneurs. Hit follow, share it with a friend who's building something meaningful, and if you're feeling generous, leave us a review. Those reviews help other listeners discover these conversations when they need them the most. This show has become so much more than I ever imagined, and it's because of listeners like you who show up and share. You are helping build something that will inspire entrepreneurs for years to come. For show notes, links, and resources, head to goaldiggerpodcast.com. Keep digging your biggest goals. The world needs what you're building.